in my office in North Carolina. Some friends and I were discussing the other night on a conference call about the middle class and the demise of the middle class, the falling of the middle class, the American dream going away. See, we were all taught the American dream when we were in school, which was to do better than your parents, to achieve more than your parents. And we were going over some statistics. One of the guys brought this up, and I made a note of it. Did you realize that 62% of Americans have $1,000 or less in their savings account? 71% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and 21% have no savings at all. And people ask me, what happened? Well, the crash in 2007-2008, the housing crash, changed a lot of people's lives, and they took all of their money, all their savings, all their retirement, and poured it in to try to save their house, maintain their lifestyle when they lost their job. So is the American dream ending? Is the middle class going away? Well, in the article that was written by Michael Snyder and another article that was written by Paul Mason, did you realize that 51% of Americans make $30,000 or less a year? And something that even shocked me more, that 38% make $20,000 or less a year. Why is that important? The federal poverty level for a family of four is $28,410. That makes almost 40% of Americans below the federal poverty line. Now, you say to yourself, well, Bob, I'm watching the news and they're saying that the unemployment's really, really low. Well, my friend, let me tell you, as my friend Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. There's 7.9 million working age Americans that are officially unemployed right now is the date of the article that they wrote, which was mid-October. There's another 94.7 million that are not considered to be in the workforce. Basically what that means is they don't draw an unemployment check anymore. So therefore, they're not looking for work. I promise you, they are. So if you consider that, there's a total of 102.6 million, I almost said 102.6 million people that are looking for a job. Now, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but I did take Economics 101. A lot of people looking for a job. A lot of people looking for a job. Wages are going to be low. That's just the way it's going to work. And if you understand that, then you're kind of getting an idea of where the middle class is going. See, figures released last month by the U.S. Census Bureau shows that it's going to be hard. Middle incomes are lower in real terms than in 1999. The median income has stagnated for the last decade, and it fell by 4.2% when the economic crisis of 2007-2008 hit. See, since December of 2007, more than 6 million Americans have been pushed below the poverty level. Simon Black writes that what this means is if you have no debt and you have $10 in your pocket, you have a greater net worth than 25% of the people in this country. People are just scraping by, getting by from month to month, and there's a lot of people that are going deeper and deeper and deeper in debt. They're starting to depend on credit cards to live on. See, the credit system, having created this mess, compounds the agony. See, payday loans, they're rampant. They're all over the place. You can't go nowhere where you don't see a payday loan store. And they're doing a brisk business. Why? I told you people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most people get paid on Friday and are broke by Monday. They don't have anything left in their paycheck till the following Friday. If they have a flat tire, run out of gas, have a mechanical problem or something like that, they're going down to the payday loan store, writing a check, and borrowing money against the next paycheck. See, when I was coming along and I was raising my kids, there was no such thing as a payday loan store. You had two choices. Either one, go to the pawn shop and pawn something and then come back and redeem it. Or number two, borrow some money from your family, friends, or go to your local church and ask them if they could help you. See, and it just gets me because people are having to do that. And credit reference agencies aren't helping people any. There was a guy in the article that had actually been refused a job because the employer checked his credit score. He said, employers are equating, your credit with your character. He said, in other words, if you have bad credit, then you have bad character, which is not necessarily the case. See, unable to borrow or earn, a whole generation's being shut out of the American lifestyle. Now, this country's net worth minus $60 trillion. And U.S. citizens are just dutifully following in their government's footsteps as a nation. We're flat broke. There is no money in the Treasury. We're flat broke. And just like us, the government's living paycheck to paycheck. It's been estimated it takes approximately $50,000 a year to support a family in a middle-class lifestyle. And it's really getting more difficult with just a single breadwinner. There's no way my stepfather and my mother could not have stayed at home and supported all of us children. And that's the way it is now with most Americans. There's been a tremendous squeeze on the middle class. For most families, both husband and wife has got to work as hard as they can. But as hard as they do, they still can't make it enough money. And with each passing day, they're losing their spot in the middle class, and this has pushed them on to government dependency. It's at an all-time high. It's been reported that more than 40% of all Americans living in a home receive money from the government each month, and the trend is what's destroying the middle class in America, and it continues to accelerate. The one thing that really irks me and gets under my skin is when I hear somebody, I'm getting something free from the government. I'm getting free medical care. I'm getting a free cell phone. I'm getting free this. No, you're not. Somebody's paying for it. Me and a lot of other taxpayers are paying for free. They're talking about giving people free college education. Now, don't get me wrong, education's important. But the problem is most colleges train you to be an employee. They don't just educate you, they train you to be an employee. And that's what's destroying the middle class. Because college graduates are coming out of college right now, they can't find a job. And they're in hock up to here with student debt. Student debt is killing them, it's choking them. Robert Kiyosaki pointed out, they quit letting you write off the interest of your credit cards. So people quit using them for the most part. Now the government's got you on the student loan train. Student loans right now, $1 trillion. Kids are coming out of school $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in debt. Are they ever going to be able to pay that off? I hope so, because guess what? You can't get rid of it. You can't get it off in bankruptcy like you can a regular credit card. There were some examples in the articles that we were talking about, and it talked about men were clustered in the shade of some trees in 90-degree heat down in Atlanta, and they formed the lowest layer of American so-called middle class. They stared, alert like a greyhound, at vans at a home improvement warehouse. And when a van would pull up, they'd rush 15, 20 of them together to the driver's window to negotiate. The hired man leaps in with his bag of tools, earns $10 an hour cash for basic building work. Even with the lowest has layers within it. The Hispanic men are recent migrants, mainly young guys. African American, older, gone, says they only hire Mexicans, and one tells me and gives me a hard-faced stare when he asks why. Now, I've seen this, folks. I've been at home improvement warehouses, and I'll see all these different folks sitting around, and somebody will stop, and it's like, poof, and they all try to negotiate to get that job. Whoever, how many they need, loads up, and they go on to the job site. They're paid in cash. Another example of Goodwill, a charity-run job center in Atlanta. You can meet the next layer up. Former legal clerks and accountant secretaries and computer technicians The whole story of black self-advanced is present in that room. Now, it's all one story. There must have been, it's all one story. They've been out of work for weeks, months, and some of them even years. Now, I'm going to tell you, the longest I've ever been unemployed is a year. I'm going to tell you what, that gets old real quick. Or if you go down the pristine cul-de-sac where the supposed middle class lives, you'll find every couple of streets a lawn as high as a wheat field, indicating that a home has been repossessed. Even survivors hang on by a thread. There was a couple in there they interviewed that lost their house. It was repossessed. And they can't even hardly afford to pay the rent. Why? Because they lost their jobs. He was a postal worker. She was a bank clerk. Their combined income dropped from $75,000 to $14,000 a year. Imagine if you took that pay cut. Right now, I've got a friend I was talking to the other day, worked for the same company my dad did. And he worked the same amount of time as Dad did. I think they both had 32 years in it. He's drawing his union pension. He got a letter from him the other day. Guess what? He's in the 70 to 75 range. They're going to cut his pension in half. He's going from a $36,000 a year pension to $18,000. How would you adjust your lifestyle to a 50% cut in your retirement? And there's going to be more of this. This is just the tip of the iceberg. By the way, if you're 75 to 80, you're only going to cut you 20%. If you're over 80, you're safe. It's a shame. They put in all that work. They sacrificed their family, their bodies, in the case of the guys that worked on the dock. And let me tell you what. The Congress and the President are looking for some more of these great trade deals. Every time we sign a trade deal, somehow or another we lose jobs and the other guys get the deal. So it's going to affect future job growth. Another problem is that's working against the middle class is technology, increasingly taking over our jobs. Each passing year becomes cheaper and more efficient to have computers, robots, and machines do the things that humans once did. Also, we're having to compete with jobs on a global scale. See, you're not only competing for the job with your next door neighbor, you're competing with people in India, China, Southeast Asia, Europe, Africa, you name it. You're competing with them. A good example is I need some work done. I was talking to a friend of mine. I was telling him I was looking for a freelancer to do some work on some databases. And he told me, he said, I can hire you. You can get somebody in the Philippines to do it $3 a day. He said he's got an administrative assistant, lives in the Philippines, works for him. He sends some money in her PayPal account. She gets it out. And, before you say, oh, poor, pitiful, you're only paying her $3 a day. That's a high wage in the Philippines. So don't pity her. She's happy. Everybody's on the same page. And another friend of mine told me he could hire an attorney in India. Now, remember, these people go to our law schools. We train them. We send them to our colleges. I mean, they pay for themselves, but they go to our colleges, learn our laws, and they're just as competent and well-spoken as an attorney down the street. The difference is the attorney down the street is going to bill you $300 an hour. The guy in India is only going to bill you $100. Which way are you going to go? So, pinning your hopes on a corporation is not a real good thing because they can replace you with a foreign worker or a machine at a moment's notice when it becomes expedient to do it. See, the paradigms are shifting that worked in the past because they are breaking down. And I hear people screaming about this living wage, pay minimum wage, $15 an hour. I saw a YouTube video the other day at a McDonald's. They had computer screens in there. You go in, decide what kind of bun, what kind of meat, what you want on your sandwich, fries, drink, whatever. You get all done, you say submit orders, swipe your credit card, go sit down. Somebody in a few minutes brings you your food. And McDonald's is working on ways to automate making sandwiches. So as these folks are screaming and wanting something, they want more. They want to be guaranteed more. Day of the guarantee's gone. See, I left corporate America 3 years ago because I was working as many hours as I do as an entrepreneur, and I was traveling 240 days a year. Got tired of it. My wife really got tired of it. So she's the one that decided. Well, we discussed it, and we agreed that we will live an entrepreneurial lifestyle. What about you? What are you going to do? Middle class is never going to be the same as every generation for the past 3 generations. Each generation's been a little less, a little less, a little less than the previous generation. Are you going to be the one that turns it around and leaves the world better for your children and grandchildren than it is right now? There's some ways to do it. If you go to bobdaves.info, look at the videos. There is an alternative out there. There is a better way. See, I looked at network marketing many years ago, and I became a part of it. Wasn't very successful at it because I didn't really apply myself. Now I found something that I can apply myself to that is the future. E-commerce and mobile commerce are the future. You're going to start seeing places like Walmart, Kmart, places like that. Write it down. Bob said it. We're going to start closing stores. What's going to happen is you're going to go online. You're going to order it. They're going to deliver it to your home. I'm already getting that. There's not too many days go by that either the post office, UPS, or FedEx doesn't stop at my door delivering something from Amazon or another online retailer. See, I have discovered that I can make money with my smartphone. Go to bobdaves.info, or give me a call, 812-606-0739. Or go to, just send me an email, bobdaves@bluemountain.net. The life of the entrepreneur is where it's going to be. We've passed through a lot of stages. We've passed through the industrial age, the information age, the knowledge age. The age of the entrepreneur is here. So, take what I've given you, digest it, talk to your friends about it, look at your circumstance. How big a raise did you get this year? By the way, if you're retired and you got on Social Security, you didn't get squat this year. Everything keeps going up. Pharmaceuticals, price of fuel. Meanwhile, you're not getting no raise. They say, the inflation factor is just not there. Talk to my mother. Talk to my friends who are retired and ask them how this non-inflation is just eating their retirement checks up. Cost of medical care is going up. Think about all